Hey guys, I am Johnny FD and I'm so excited to share with you the story. If you've been following my channel, a lot of people have been asking about this $30,000 gold watch that I wear. And here's a big secret is, yes, it's a $30,000 watch, but no, I did not pay $30,000 for it. I think it'd be stupid to do so. So let's jump straight into the story. So if you've been following my journey, you know I live pretty frugally. Even though I live right at the beach and I have great coffee every morning. I have a really good life. I travel a lot. I'm actually pretty frugal. I've always been. My parents are Asian immigrants, and I've always liked saving money. So, but I think the downside of that is I've also always been afraid of making more money. I don't know what it is. It's usually you have like the two sides, right? You have the people who are focused on just making a lot of money, but they spend everything they make. And then you have the people who just try to save as much as possible, but they're not, like they're penny pinching. They're just clipping coupons, not really enjoying life. And I'm very, very fortunate that I somehow stumbled on kind of being perfectly in the middle. And the way that actually worked out was I was living in Thailand really cheaply for about 4 years. I was spending less than $1,000 a month, and I was enjoying life. But I realized that if I ever wanted to move somewhere more expensive, somewhere in Europe or back to the US, I wouldn't be able to. And even though I was doing what I loved, I was scuba diving every day, working as a dive master, which is basically an underwater tour guide. And I was working as a professional fighter, trying to work as a professional fighter. And I would get paid just a few $100s, to fight. But I got to train for free. Sometimes I got to live for free. So I basically got everything I wanted. I got to live my passions and my best life for very little money. And it was a great hack. And if you want to know more about that, I'm happy to make a separate video about it, or you can read my book, 12 Weeks in Thailand, The Good Life on the Cheap. But today I want to tell you about the Gold Watch Challenge and how that really set me up for life and really brought me to where I am today. And if you watched any of my other videos, you'll know that it's been a long journey, but it's been a really, really interesting one that I'm very fortunate that I stumbled upon. There was no one really that guided me on this, so that's why I really want to be able to share this with you to help guide you wherever journey you're in, whatever path you're in. So why gold watch? Why not a platinum watch or an AP or a Rolex or something? It's because in the US growing up, I've always seen that pivotal retirement moment, either on TV and newspapers and magazines. When you work for an American company for 40 years or 50 years and you retire, they hand you a gold watch and a pension. And they say, thank you for all your hard work. It's been great. You are set for life. And the watch was really a symbol of retirement. And sure, the watch would be, sometimes a $10,000 Rolex, but it was really not really about the value of the watch. It was knowing that you had retired, that you had money coming every month from your pension, and that you got a pat on the back saying thank you for all your hard work. And that's something I really wanted. And that's why I went to university. I graduated with honors, and I got a good job at Honeywell, this big American company. It was one of the last really big American companies in California that I could have this path on. But the problem was they basically merged and laid half the people off, and I was one of them. And I was very lucky. They gave me a small severance, a few months' pay, which I went out and bought a car with, stupidly. And then I was thinking, well, what else can I do? And this is when I moved to Thailand, and at some point I realized I need to be able to make a US salary again, at least $3,000 a month, take home, or more, if I want to be able to live a normal life. If I want to be able to fly home sometimes, if I want to be able to take care of myself in an emergency, if I ever want to be able to save up for retirement. And I remember my goal when I was working and I was making $48,000 a year was to save $200 a month. And I know $200 a month doesn't sound like very much to some people, And to some people, you're like, you know what? I've also tried saving $200 a month, and it's hard to do because even though my pay was almost $50,000 a year, after tax, you're stuck with about $3,000, and then my rent was over $1,000. It was $1,000, $200. Then I have my car insurance, my health insurance, gas, bills, going out, and at the end of the day, I didn't have that much saved up. I probably would barely make $200 in savings sometimes, and definitely not every month. And when I was in Thailand, I realized I will never become an actual millionaire, living this kind of life. But maybe I could become a Thai millionaire. And the Thai baht at the time was about 30 to 1. And I had terrible math at the time. And it just shows kind of where I was starting at. I thought, hey, if I can somehow save 30,000 US dollars in a bank account, I would be a Thai millionaire and I would be set for life. Because in Thailand, things really are much cheaper. Ironically, you can't live for the rest of your life off of $30,000 in Thailand, even though I was living very cheaply. But in my mind, it was such a big number that I knew that if I can just have that amount, I would be comfortable. And maybe I wasn't thinking 3 steps ahead. Maybe I didn't factor in inflation and that, even at $1,000 a month or $600 a month of a low cost of living, 30,000 US dollars or a million Thai baht really wasn't enough to live. But it was the feeling, and it was such an unattainable goal anyways, because just a few months prior, I had hit my low point of having less than $1,000 in total savings, total net worth. And I remember thinking, crap, I have 1 month left in Thailand. I've already started working on a business. I had my ebook, which was making $200 a month, but it wasn't enough to live. And I remember calling my cousin saying, hey, Larry, I might need to borrow some money to go home. And I had started making money at that point with my e-commerce store. I had started a dropshipping store. And I thought, you know what, I can do this. I started making a couple $1,000s a month from it, $2,000, $3,000 a month. And I was like, you know what, if I just keep my cost of living super low, like I have been when I was broke, even though I'm making more money now, why spend, $2,000, $3,000 a month in Thailand just because I can, when I was happy living off $1,000 a month or less? So instead of moving into a nicer luxury apartment, instead of going out and eating, Western food all the time at, steaks and drinking craft beers or drinking, imported wine, let me just continue living my normal life because I liked my life. And if anyone's been to Thailand, you'll know that Thai food, even on the street for $1 or $2 a dish, is amazing. And the accommodations, they're pretty basic, but if you live in the city center, you can walk around, it's fine. Like you're comfortable. So I decided right then and there, I'm gonna set a challenge called the Gold Watch Challenge. I'm gonna become a Thai millionaire, and I'm gonna have 30,000 US dollars in a bank account, and I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna buy myself a gold watch. And I remember going to the mall, Central Mall in Chiang Mai, and I would shop around. I was like, which watch would I want to buy? And first I was looking at Rolexes, I was looking at Tag Heuers, and then my friend told me, he's like, oh no, you gotta get an AP, which most people can't even pronounce, including myself. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I could probably spend, $3,000 to $10,000 on the watch, and I'll still have 20 something grand left. Yeah, it's plenty of money. So I started looking at watches, and the first thing I realized is gold watches have not been in fashion for 10 years, since the 90s, maybe 20 years now. So it's actually really hard to find watches that are gold in the first place. And the more I saved and the more I had this goal, the more I realized, this is stupid. Why am I working so hard to save $30,000 if I'm gonna spend a third of it to buy a watch? And I'm so happy that the only gold watch, like that had a gold face and a gold band, that I actually really liked and really wanted out of that whole selection. And I went to a few malls to look around. And really just because gold watches are not in style anymore, where anything with a gold band normally has a different color face, like a blue face or just even a different color gold. I just wanted it to be like a simple, classy, all gold watch, you know. And I was so fortunate that the only one I found that I really liked was made by Citizen, which is actually a good company. They're a Japanese company. Them and Seiko are the two big Japanese manufacturers, but they're not those automatic kind of watches where you can flip the back and you can see the mechanism in the back. These are battery watches. They're called quartz watches, and they're very cheap to make. And quartz, actually, it's a good, funny story, is you would think the more expensive watches are better, that they're more reliable, that they, keep time more accurately, or they just last longer, or whatever it is. It's actually the opposite. When quartz technology first came out, as in just a normal battery operated watch, all the big companies, the Swiss manufacturers, they almost all went out of business, or they had to switch over, because the quartz watch was so much better in every way. It's kind of like when Tesla came out and the cars were just better. They're faster, there's less maintenance, you don't have to replace engine oil, you don't have as many parts to break. It's just a better car in every way. And the Swiss watchmakers really panicked and freaked out. And luckily, marketing was on their side, craftsmanship was on their side, and they basically reframed the whole narrative and said, yeah, we're not more reliable, we're not better, we're not even more accurate a lot of times, but we are handmade craftsmanship, and you could see it. And that's when they started doing those clear backs, so you could see the mechanisms in the watch. So a nice Swiss watch, an automatic watch, is a piece of art, and that's why people like it. I don't care about art. I would never have a expensive painting on my wall. I'd rather just have a print replica, because even though I appreciate people making art out there, I think it's a complete waste of money, and I'll never buy any of this stuff. I think it's so silly. So I'm happy having the Tesla, of watches, right? The Tesla Model 3, and Citizen is that. So it was really funny, because I would go to the mall every weekend, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a week. Every time I would pass by, and it's hard not to pass by because we lived in a pretty small city where we could walk everywhere. So I would walk to the gym, I would walk to the grocery store, and I really loved my life in Chiang Mai. And it's funny because I would walk by the mall probably 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I would just go in and just look at the watch. And my girlfriend at the time, that we were together for 3 years, she would get dragged along with me, and I would just spend 20 minutes looking at this watch. And she never asked how much it was. It was funny. Until one day, I think the day I bought it, I think it took me about a year of just focus and having this goal of being a Thai millionaire. And I remember after I bought the watch, she's like, wow, congratulations. I know you've been working so hard towards this. Like, how much was it? And in her mind, she thought it was like going to be, $7,000 or $10,000 or maybe even $30,000. And I was like, oh, it was like $200. And she was like, why the hell did you waste all this time going to the mall every week, 3 times a week, to look at this watch? And why did you set this big challenge for yourself to buy a $200 watch when you could have just bought it 5 months ago? And she just really didn't understand. And it was hard to explain. And I think some of you might be watching this thinking, Johnny, you're an idiot. You just wasted 15 minutes of my time watching this. I can go out and buy a $200 watch now. Like, I don't have $30,000. I'm not a Thai millionaire. I can go buy 3 of them right now on Amazon. But here's the thing, is it's not about the cost of the watch. It's about the journey of saving up enough money to hit that goal. And after I hit $30,000, it was strange because it was really, really hard. I would say the hardest money I've ever made was the first $1,000. By far, it was the hardest. Even the first $100 I've ever made as a business owner or entrepreneur was the hardest, but also the most fulfilling. Getting from 10,000 to 30,000, it was difficult, but it was more about discipline. It was about saying, okay, I have money coming in now. I'm making, $3,000 a month. Can I get that to $5,000 a month? Can I get to $7,000 a month? And more importantly, can I keep my expenses the same so I end up actually saving that money and not spending it? That was a hard challenge. But once I got to $30,000 and I bought this watch, I didn't change my lifestyle. I didn't go out and buy more things. I just continued living my normal life. And I was still traveling, I was still enjoying life, but I was still frugal, I was still living pretty cheap. And I was still spending, I think I upgraded my life a bit. I went from spending $1,000 a month living in Thailand to maybe spending $1,500 a month living in like Saigon and Vietnam and other kind of bigger places. But at that time, I was already making 10, 15, sometimes even $20,000 on a good month for my businesses. And 80% or 90% of it went to savings. So from $30,000 to $100,000 to $250,000 and more, it wasn't that hard. But I know for sure, if it wasn't for me setting this challenge and having the discipline to wait a year to buy this $200 watch, I never would have had the mindset, the plan, or the discipline to go from $30,000 to $300,000. And I think that's the lesson that I want all of you to take away from here is these milestones mean everything. So wherever you're at right now, if you have $300,000 in the bank and you want to get to $1 million, or if you're like me and you started with $1,000 and you're like, I just want to get to 10,000, or you're at 10,000, you want to get to 30,000. Whatever your goal is, set it, and then give yourself a reward. Find something that you would like to buy now, but you don't really need this moment, this instant. Whether it's a watch, whether it's a drone, whether it's a new phone, whether it's some Japanese espresso maker, whatever it is. Figure out, what is something that you would really like in the next year and that you would like to have your mindset on, and what dollar amount would make, is achievable. And it can be a little bit hard to achieve because honestly, $30,000 to me at the time, I really, really struggled thinking that would be possible. I knew logically, if I just kept saving and I just earned more, it would be possible. I didn't know if it was going to take 6 months or 3 years, but I knew it was possible. So I would love to hear what your goals are. Write in the comments below the dollar amount that you want to get to and what your reward would be, what your challenge is. And I would love to help you out. So let's get this party started, and good luck to you on your journey. Take care, guys.